Tuned in to News and Views with myself, Salailo Makwidiri. And we're going to be kickstarting the show with a rather concerning state of affairs out in the KZN. It's Wednesday, 14th of January, and as children across the country make their way to classrooms on this first official day of the academic year, in KZN, the start of school isn't looking like what most parents or learners were promised or would have imagined. New surveys from teachers' unions show that more than half of public schools in the province are not ready to open their doors today, lacking basics like textbooks, essential stationery, and in some cases, even meals that learners depend on every morning and for lunch. Principals are describing the situation as chaotic, and unions warn that this could have immediate implications for learner well-being and success. And you can imagine the teachers themselves, the immense stress that they're being put under, having to work in such circumstances. So we'll be kickstarting the show with Nomarashiya Caluza, the KZN Provincial Secretary of SADTU, and she'll be giving us insight about what's driving these delays, what schools are telling her and her colleagues, and what parents should know before they drop their children at school this morning. And we'll get into it. Nomarashiya, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to News and Views.
Thank you. Good morning to you and to the listeners. Thank you.
I think first and foremost, we can start with context and scene setting here. Just give us insight as SADTU and some of the schools that you guys have surveyed in KZN. What's really needed? What's missing? Why aren't schools in the KZN ready for the start of the academic year with schools reopening today? And what are some of the most urgent gaps that you found?
Yes, we conducted a survey wherein principals were required to respond to the question whether their schools are ready for reopening. And I must also emphasize the point that principals that responded at the time of the analysis were 2,247. And out of that, 54% indicated that they were not ready or they are not ready. And they are not ready because there's no stationery. And stationery is the basic of teaching and learning, because that is where learners will have to write in the classroom. And you understand that in KZN, schools, majority of schools are no fee paying schools, and they rely on the department for delivery of such. It's the issue of the stationery, the exercise books, the calculators, the textbooks, and as well as the non-payment of the norms and standards or the basic financial allocation to schools. As you know, I've already stressed that schools are no fee paying, but they rely on the department for those funds. So the department has failed, and the reason for this failure and the crisis that we are finding ourselves in, we understand that last year the Department of Finance in the province announced that they were putting the Department of Education under administration, and that from then the Department of Education would need to procure anything without the approval of the Department of Finance. As a result, when it was time for the procurement of stationery and textbooks, the Department of Finance could not respond. They only responded and giving the go-ahead only in October. Under normal circumstances, in October, November, that's the time the department delivers stationery and everything to schools, so that when we reopen in the new year, everything is ready. Teachers can teach and learners can learn. But we are not in that situation now. The problem is that Department of Finance and the decisions they took, which caused the delays. And unfortunately, this can continue until maybe March, as per the response of the employer.
That's a very, very concerning state of affairs. And I want to focus on that, the fact that this can continue throughout the year. What does it mean for learners then when school starts like that, without textbooks, without proper learner, teacher, student material, LTSM, or even meals? Because in some cases, the survey that you guys have conducted has shown that some schools don't even have meals. And we know that there's a nutrition feeding scheme programs that some of the public schools have. And from educators' perspective also, how are teachers affected by this, having to work to teach in an environment that's not conducive?
It's a very frustrating situation for teachers. And remember, we are celebrating the good performance by our teachers for 2025. But at the same time, they have to grapple with this current challenge that we are faced. And this means today, as it is the first day of the school academic year, it simply means that in those schools, half of the schools in KZN, learners will be left behind as from today. And this creates gaps because in other schools, the well-to-do schools, those that are not that advantaged schools, learners there's teaching and learning taking place today, whereas in other schools, teachers must think about what they must do to support these learners. So it's a gap that the department does not even have a plan on how it is going to be closed, because if they are saying they can be able to deliver by March, to deliver everything by March, it simply means that today, going forward, these learners will not be taught. And this will have serious implications in their education this year. It will also frustrate teachers who will be forced, because of their consciousness, the passion and dedication they have on education, will see them and will also be encouraging them to find a way of covering up.
Mm, mm, mm. I want to talk about the KwaZulu-Natal Department of Education, and maybe even the provincial government itself. What has been their engagements with SADTU about these delays and the impact that they will have? Have they acknowledged them? Have they responded to some of the concerns that you guys have up to this point?
After the analysis of the responses of principals, we then asked for a meeting with the department, and we had that on Saturday last week. When we met them and we presented our findings of the survey, they confirmed that even their reports confirm what SADTU has found through the survey, so that more than 50% of the schools are not ready. But the issue is that they are helpless, because they say we can't do anything without the support of the Department of Finance in the province. It's only yesterday that we had, during the announcement of the results, we had both the MEC for Education as well as the Premier promising and saying they are aware of the challenges, they are aware of that they are aware of the issues that SADTU is raising, as raised by school principals, but they are trying by all means. Even if they are trying anything, which we encourage, it's not going to be of assistance today, but we continue to plead with them to find solutions for the current challenges.
Mm, And from Satu's point of view, just looking ahead, what would you guys propose as sustainable fixes? Not just, crisis response, because this material is needed. Today is the first day of schools, but for sustainability purposes, and for ensuring that schools are prepared for the rest of the year. What do you guys have in mind? What would you guys have proposed to the provincial government, and also to the KZN DBE? All right. We seem to have lost Nomarashiya Caluza there. I think we're going to wrap it up here, but it's a very, very concerning state of affairs out in KZN. Okay, we'll try and get her back on the phone. All right, we'll take a quick break, and we'll see if we can't get Nomarashiya Caluza back on air, because it's a very, very important conversation. And she's shedding light on very, very concerning state of affairs out in KZN. Imagine everyone is excited start of the new academic year, but in KZN, public schools, no fee paying schools, don't have the most basics of materials, textbooks, stationery. It's just not there. And it's mind-boggling that KZN, when you look at the recent, results announcements, matrix is top of the ladder. Eh? more than 90% of matriculants. They're leading the country, even with the shortages that they have and the shortfalls of the provincial government and the KwaZulu-Natal Department of Education. I think we'll try and get Nomarashiya Caluza back on air after the short break, just to wrap it up for us and to see if there are any solutions that are being proposed for this very, very concerning turn of events for children, for students out in the KZN.
This is Salam Media.
Verena is a place whereby we have a lot of victims of kids who are involved in the drugs. There is a lot of kids here who are roaming in the street without being taken care. We got a lot of cases of rape and the kids missing in this area. So it touched my heart that actually I need to do something about it and help those children and try to put them together in one place, that when they come from school, they mustn't roam around, inshallah. They must just go to the madrasa and study there, inshallah, and then they will be protected from the drugs. And alhamdulillah, is helping in a community, because now when they come from school, they are no longer going around roaming and begging. Alhamdulillah, they know that when they come from school, they come straight to the madrasa and study, and then inshallah, when they finish their study, they get their meal, alhamdulillah, and then they go home.
Sister Iman Sofia Salvador, also known as Bilqis, mashallah. She is the founder of the Foundation and Madrasa.
Salam Media, a global voice for humanity. Breaking stereotypes, moving boundaries, joining hands. Salam Media. Humanity sets the agenda.
Welcome back. You're still tuned in to News and Views of myself, Salailo Makwidiri, and I'm still in conversation with Nomarashiya Caluza. She's the KZN Provincial Secretary of SADTU, and she's painting a very, very bleak picture when it comes to how the province of KwaZulu-Natal is beginning their first day of the academic year. Principals in the province from across half of the schools in a very, very big KwaZulu-Natal region are citing that, well, they're not ready for the first day of the academic year. Majority of the schools don't have textbooks, don't have basics, stationery. Some of them, even the classrooms are not in good conditions, and some of them don't even have meals that a lot of children in these public schools depend on. And Nomarashiya, before we lost you there, I had one simple and very, very important question. From SADTU's point of view, are there any proposals that you guys have as sustainable fixes, not just for today's crisis and its response, but for ensuring that schools are prepared the day before classes begin and also throughout the year? And just reflecting on the KZN being the amongst the top, if not the leading province when it comes to the 2025 matric results, and rural schools shining, how do teachers do it despite some of these shortfalls that they seem to be working under in circumstances that are not conducive for work, essentially?
Yes, you are correct with that question, because even last year we had pickets most of the time demanding the department to support schools, to give these monies, the basic allocation. The reason why KZN is performing is out of the consciousness of our teachers, knowing that it's all about the future of the kids that we have. The majority of teachers in KZN are SADTU. Majority of principals are SADTU. All district directors are SADTU. So that teaching, those teachings from the union itself, that it's not about us, it's about the learners that we teach. It then means that we even say to them, teaching, going to class must be a revolutionary duty. They must regard it as a revolutionary duty. It's a call. So that passion from teachers is the one that makes us to be here. That in KZN, we do not have subject advisors. There's shortage of subject advisors that are supposed to support teachers. We have majority of circuit managers who are acting, and they are not even paid acting allowance. But all of them, together with their district directors, they work together, even during school holidays, on weekends, morning classes, afternoon classes, without the support of the department. Even when the department hasn't delivered to the expectation, but our teachers will always go there and support our kids. Hence the results that we have. We say these results are the product of the hard work of our teachers, of course, supported by parents who continue to bring their children to our schools, even when they do not have the necessary resources. At some point we have challenges with nutrition in KZN. Teachers were preparing meals from their own pockets, assisting the children that we have, because some of them they rely on the meal from the school. There's nothing at home. We understand the rate of unemployment in our country, which is affecting KZN too.
No, most definitely. Nomarashiya, thank you so much for joining us and for painting that very, very bleak picture when it comes to the KZN and some of the challenges that the Department of Basic Education faces there. And most importantly, teachers. Really, really appreciate it.
Okay, thanks. Thank you. Thanks for having us.
There you go. That was Nomarashiya Caluza from SADTU. And really, really concerning state of events in that part of the country. Schools reopening without textbooks, without meals, without stationery. And you just wonder, how do teachers even do it? Eh? Because right now, as we speak, the best performing province in the country is the KZN. In the recent announcements of the class of 2025 matric results announcement, they are head and shoulders above everyone, above Gauteng, above the Western Cape, and some of the most, let's say, richer, more privileged provinces with better equipped, better resourced schools. And you just wonder, how do teachers work in such environments that are demanding of them, and just the mental health and strain that they're taking? Never mind the kids, because the kids is just another story. The kids and having to go to schools that still use pit latrines. Kids that come from families, as you heard from Nomarashiya, that essentially depend on school nutrition and school feeding schemes. And right now, as we are speaking, heading back to school without the basics that normally, would be out of the question, because we understand the importance of education in South Africa, and the importance of making sure that kids are supported in every way possible, to make sure that education is being used as a way to get themselves and their families out of poverty. And you just begin the year like this. This is a story that we need to follow up on. I think we need some answers from the KZN Department of Basic Education, and also the provincial government in itself, on why the shortcomings. Why is this the reality and state of events in KZN, as there's so much excitement and jubilation for the start of the new academic year, but in that part of the country, principals are simply saying, we are not ready. We are not ready to open our doors and our classrooms for teachers and for students to begin the academic year. We've heard from unions and principals out in KZN about schools reopening today, as I mentioned, without the basic necessities. I want to hear from you. How did the first day of school go in your community today? Did your child walk into a classroom ready to learn, or are they facing the same shortages we're talking about here? You can call us. Our studio line is 011-6800-355, or you can send us a voice note on 061-766-0355. It's 8:30 now. I'm sure the school run is done. Most schools start at 8, ne? Yeah. I'm sure parents listening right now can engage with us and tell us how the first day of the academic year has gone. Those beginning grade 1 and those that are starting high school. It's a brand new world, and it'll be interesting to hear from the parents their perspectives and how the day went, anxiety, and just preparing for this new journey that your kids are undertaking. And we're going to take a quick break. Don't forget to engage with us on our various social media platforms, whether you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, on X, or listening to us on our website. You can throw in a comment if you are on social media and tell us how the first day of school went, and also how do you respond to the panic out in KZN, where over half of the schools are simply saying they're not ready for day one of the academic year. This is News and Views. We'll be back with you after this.